Hello everyone and welcome to the Character Forge, where I take characters from various media and turn them into a D&D 5e build. These builds are based on votes from channel members and my patrons over on Patreon. For these builds, I use point buy, optional class features, customize origin, and some of the new background rules to take a starter feat to begin with. I also used fixed hit points for simplicity's sake. Sometimes I'll add in some homebrew and variants to make things work just a little bit better. If you're really set on one, pop by my Patreon and see if any of the tiers interest you to make a direct request. Today we'll be working on Sung Jin Nu from Solo Leveling, and I started this script during the end of Season 1 and had a comment on how I'd probably miss the algorithm shift, and now Season 2 is coming out, so suddenly it's viable again. What is time? I apologize to everyone for my health issues. But, on to the build. Existential crisis aside, for our goals with Sung, we're going to need extensive stealth and assassination capabilities, the ability to handle a frontline fight, and finally access to multiple summons to control the battlefield depending on the situation at hand. For our ability scores, we're agile, decently durable with sharp observation abilities, and a keen mind for strategy and solving puzzles. As such, we'll go with 8 strength, 15 dexterity, 14 constitution, 13 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and 10 charisma. For species, you were a human, but well, dying kind of changed a few things, or not dying. So we're going with reborn. This will get you a +2 to intelligence for a new total of 15, and a +1 dexterity for a new total of 16, as well as gaining proficiency in acrobatics and athletics. You were a fighter base originally. You also get Deathless Nature, granting you advantage on saving throws against death, disease, and poison. Rather fitting. You have resistance to poison damage, and you don't need to eat, drink, or breathe, as well as sleep. You also finish a long rest in 4 hours like an elf, except the species is actually interesting. And as if that wasn't enough, you have knowledge from a past life, allowing you to add a d6 to your skill checks a number of times equal to your proficiency per long rest. Now, for background, we're going to take a minor variant of the Haunted one, considering the whispers you keep hearing as the system's warnings and messages. You quite literally died on that altar, and it's had some great side effects, but it's also had some disturbing and confusing few, like night terrors, forcing you to kill things against your will and traumatizing you, all that good stuff. This will give us Heart of Darkness, which is a pun for those that know, you know. Useful for intimidation checks and fear-based spells later on, but make sure you ask your GM about its side effects and how you can use it. I don't run 5e much anymore, but when I do, I generally offer to take backgrounds and turn them into like custom mini feats for my players. Maybe pitch that to your GM and see what they think about it. You also get proficiency in Arcana, Investigation, and 2 useful languages for your campaign. Make sure to talk to your GM once again. Now into the meat and potatoes of this, we're moving on to class. Though you develop many different skills and cheat with incredibly powerful enchanted gear later, all you started as was a simple low-tier frontliner. As such, we're going with Fighter. You're proficient in basically all armor and weapons, as well as strength and constitution saving throws, with perception and insight as your skills of choice. You have keen observational talent, and this is only improved through your trials. For your fighting style, we're planning for the future and taking 2-weapon fighting. You gain Second Wind, allowing you to regain health as a bonus action based on your fighter level. Now, for your weapon mastery, if you have access to it, we're currently in a weird place right now where many people are still using 2014 and many people want to start using 2024, so I'm going to just sprinkle 2024 into my gameplay and builds, but not rely upon it. So, if you do have access to it, for your weapon mastery, we'll take Dagger, Shortsword, and Scimitar as your focuses. If you want to be more efficient, I'd replace Scimitar with the bow or something. Sung just uses daggers, some of which are long enough to be actual swords, but you aren't bound to that. Second level fighter will give us access to Action Surge for a burst of anime power and tactical mind befitting your surprisingly keen analytical mind. Third level will be switching briefly over to Rogue as your combat style now begins to evolve. You gain proficiency in stealth and expertise in stealth and perception, representing your heightened senses and ability to simply disappear in front of enemy eyes. You also gain Thieves' Cant and 1 language of your choice. You also get mastery of 2 more weapons you don't really need, which is a flaw I'm starting to see in the system repeatedly as I build these. I recommend the rule I've seen some GMs starting to play with very light homebrew that allows you to kind of double up on the masteries, and improve them slightly. Think like Baldur's Gate 3 kind of deal. Now, finally, you also get Sneak Attack to maximize your strike's damage. 4th level will take in Rogue. 2nd level rogues get Cunning Action to really flesh out your superhuman capabilities. Mobility and combat control are your bread and butter. Now we're starting to drift into acquiring proper magic next. At 5th level, we're switching back to Fighter and taking Echo Knight as a subclass. This will be your first Shadow Soldier, and the ability to switch places with it mid-combat. Your Echo has a plethora of benefits once manifested, including teleporting with you, making an attack for you, making opportunity attacks from its bases as well. Combining this with stealth can be incredibly potent, as your targets can only see the attacks coming from your echoes, not you. Now, at 6th level, we'll take our final level in Fighter, gaining +2 dexterity for a new total of 18, and an extra weapon mastery that you'll probably never use. Again, I highly recommend double up optional benefits here. Now, we're switching over to the true meat of this build. Wizard. You are, after all, a mage type in the end. At 7th level, you'll be a 1st level wizard, gaining Ritual Adept and Arcane Recovery alongside several spells. You get 3 cantrips, and to represent empowering your daggers with even more force, take Booming Blade. Now, for your summons to interact with the world around you on a superficial level, take Chill Touch and Mage Hand, flavor them as your odd telekinesis, or as your summons as you see fit. Just talk to your GM ahead of time about the roleplay flavor of the spells. For your primary spells, take Find Familiar and ask your GM to flavor it as a shadow-themed ghosty with like an owl stat block. Alongside this, take Identify for your system's ability to analyze various items and places. Shield and Mage Armor are then going to be important, providing you with combat abilities and better AC for survivability at mid-tier play, especially since you don't have 5 levels in any class at the moment. 2nd level wizards gain Scholar, providing you with another expertise in investigation. You also gain 1 additional spell. Take Absorb Elements for even more combat survivability. You are squishy right now, you need this. 3rd level wizards gain another spell. Take Invisibility to play into your stealth even more than before. Now, we're deviating a bit from what a lot of people assumed and going with Blade Singer as our subclass for Wizard. This gives us proficiency in performance, which is hilarious, and I'd recommend asking your GM if you can take that in something else more fitting instead. You also get Blade Song, giving you extra AC, movement, advantage to acrobatics, a bonus to concentration, all that combines really well with Mage Armor. 4th level wizards gain another spell and a cantrip. Take Sword Burst for floating daggers around you, and Shadow Blade for an especially potent weapon to use in combination with your other abilities, just in case your GM isn't going to give you an enchanted weapon. You also get a feat. Take Resilient and Dexterity to increase your survivability that much further, as well as gain a new total of 19 in Dexterity. 5th level wizards get Memorize Spell to alter their spells on a short rest. You also get 2 more spells. Take Misty Step for added mobility, Shadow Teleportation on a small scale. You also get Summon Shadow Spawn or Lesser Demons for your first proper shadows outside of your Echo. Just talk to your GM about how you want to reflavor these. 6th level Blade Singers finally get an extra attack, allowing you to make an attack twice or an attack and a cantrip. You also get a spell. Take Haste for your full ridiculous combat capabilities. 7th level wizards get an extra spell. Take Summon Greater Demon to summon one of your most powerful shadows. 8th level wizards get an improvement. Take +1 Dexterity for a new total of 20, and +1 Intelligence for a new total of 16. The odd numbers have finally rounded. You get an extra spell, so take Black Tentacles and ask your GM to reflavor it as dozens of shadow soldiers rising from the ground around the targets to pin and stab them, holding them in place. 9th level wizards get 2 spells. Take Bigby's Hand and reflavor it as a shadow, and Steel Wind Strike for your incredible weapon skill with your blades and speed. 10th level Blade Singers get Song of Defense, allowing you to expend spell slots to reduce damage you'd normally take. You also get a cantrip and extra spell. Take Message to communicate with shadows or allies, and Negative Energy Flood. Ask to reflavor your created zombies as shadows with the same stat blocks. 11th level wizards get a spell. Take Otherworldly Guise to take on your shadow-empowered physical combat form for enhanced survivability, speed, flight, and other combat capabilities. 12th level wizards gain an improvement. Take +2 intelligence for a new total of 18. You also get a spell. Take Globe of Invulnerability to flare out your mana and shield yourself from other spellcasters with ease. 13th level wizards get access to 7th level spells. You're at the cap of prepared spells, but I recommend replacing Globe of Invulnerability with Teleport to represent your Shadow Swap in its full glory. At our 20th level capstone now, 14th level Bladesingers get Song of Victory for even more damage using your blades, as well as a final spell. I recommend Mordenkainen's Sword, which will grant your final form's massive blade of pure destructive shadows. Now, for playstyle, what is the best way to play this, and how potent is Sung? First off, you need to buy yourself time for setup, and you want to go early in the initiative in order to make full use of Bladesong. Activating it too late could be rather unfortunate after you've taken a hit, let alone multiple. You really don't have the spell slots or health to handle that. Now, as such, for those that don't know how to buy yourself time for this setup, first, try not to get ambushed, don't get engaged. There's ways around that, there's magic items that can help with that. But tactically, when you are attacked, run away. Make distance. Few monsters and attackers actually have the range to target you, especially in the middle of a party if you all make space. Now, once Bladesong is up and running, abuse your Echo in order to control the battlefield and make use of its multiple attacks. If you have time to mix in invisibility and stealth with that, do so. But don't feel tied to that playstyle for action economy. I recommend utilizing Action Surge only once you have Bladesong and an Echo up, allowing you to mix and match spellcasting with attacks and cantrips for deadly effect. If you time it right, you can unleash 5 attacks in one turn, with 2 of those being cantrips using an Echo. Don't be afraid to use concentration spells repeatedly either. With a plus 12 con save for concentration, you'll probably never lose the spell you're maintaining, even at high tier play. If you do, something bad was going to happen regardless. And finally, be mobile. Rely on your high AC, combine buffing spells with summons to create openings while dealing steady, consistent damage. If things get dangerous, pull out your high-end spells to deal massive damage or escape the battle. Keeping Teleport in your back pocket for your party to escape is a winning strategy that few high-level parties do. Now, for homebrew alterations, I'd recommend talking with your GM about removing your performance proficiency and replacing it with something more useful, especially with the new weapon mastery effects and your multiple item proficiencies that you have going on. Now, the double up weapon mastery effects are things like a superior combat maneuver you can perform using that weapon once per long rest. If you're interested in those, they'll be found over on my Patreon, but there are many out in the wild too, and feel free to create your own stuff. If your GM allows starter feats, I highly recommend taking Alert over Tough or more spells. You need that starter round to get up Bladesong. As for custom background feature I offered earlier in the video, I recommend this. As you can see, this is much more of a generalized and minor benefit. It's not really a proper feat. I call them little mini background feats. They have very specialized benefits, but they play into the background much more than the current ambiguous Ask Your GM stuff that it has going on, which is one of 5e's flaws, I feel. If you're interested in more of these mini feats, I'll be transferring them over onto my Patreon, so feel free to go take a peek over there. Otherwise, they'll show up in videos as they become relevant. Honestly, there isn't much need for any major custom homebrew for this build unless you really want to pin down the massive army of summons instead of reflavoring other spells. If you wish to do so, then I recommend digging heavily into swarm mechanics, as actually puppeting multiple summons each round is a nightmare that will just bog you down in combat. Work with your GM to summon swarms of spirits instead of a single powerful monster, just reflavor it. That'll give you the same fun combat ability and some new versatility that you can whip out in combat. If you really want to dig into swarms, just be prepared for homework. I do hope all of that helps, and I hope that you all enjoy playing this build. Now we're shifting into the nice outro and chatting section that I do that is more off the cuff. So, I've been sick. When am I not? I know. Think longer time viewers know this, but my health is 50-50 at the best of times. Thankfully, my surgery several months ago now went well, and I've managed to keep my voice, which was in question there for a while. I had to stop playing my tabletop for my patrons for a while there, and my game with my dear friends. Thankfully, it's all fine now. A little rough, and you might be able to hear that. I hope you can't hear that. I hope the audio quality is okay. But I'm okay. I'm as okay as I can be, I think. I will continue to improve as the months pass, but just expect a degree of delay on some of these videos. I am having to stop maybe every 3 minutes of recording and take drinks and cool my throat and take it easy, or I will start tasting blood. So, fun side effects of things, but it is getting better. I want to thank all my patrons for supporting me through the months of not quite silence, but almost silence again. And hopefully I'm back on the horse for sure. Making this took a while, so I apologize for the delay. It's gone all the way into Season 2's out now, and I worry for the animators because it's not been that long, I realize. Oh no. Regardless, all that aside, I just wanted to let everyone know I'm still alive, just struggling a little bit, but I'll be okay. So, now that I'm back on the horse, let me know what you guys would like to see next. My schedule got thrown out the window, and the algorithm is cruel. So if you don't use videos based around mainstays or things that are currently in the ether, things go poorly on YouTube. So just let me know what you'd like to see while I figure out what everyone is now paying attention to. At the moment, I've got a Yuta and a Jinx video, and some videos that wrap up the builds for Toji and Gojo by high demand coming up next down the pipeline. I'm also looking into some lore builds of characters, offering more detailed background and world building options around these characters if that has any interest. Things like Sung's world of dungeons in modern day and how it could be turned into a legitimate campaign setting for people that just want a fanon-based campaign they can run alternate universe. But I have yapped enough, so I digress before my throat gives out on me. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Love yourself. Love each other, and I'll see you in the next video.